So lift and roll the shoulders. Breathing in, circle the arms up, clasp and reverse. Really stretch the hands up, press the hands down, press the feet down. To one side a couple of times. Center and to the other side a couple of times. Come to the center. And just subtly turn to one side, not a lot. Come to the center. And then turn to the other side a couple of times. And then come to the center. And then lower the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. Turn your head to the left. Come to the centre. That's Minky, by the way. She's a chihuahua. And turn to the right. Minky, join in. And then lift and roll the shoulders. Hands behind the back. Oh, here's Rosie. Aim the knuckles towards the floor. And then turn to one side. Hello, Rosie. Come to the centre. And then turn to the other side. And then come to the centre. Take a mat and help yourself to go wherever you want to. And I'll move to accommodate you. Yes, okay. And
sorry. Yes.
yeah, no, that's what happens. Tell me where you're going to go, and I'll move, or I'll adjust one side. Either you can go there, or you can go there.
That'll be fine.
Okay. In which case, I will try and move to give you a little bit more space, and make sure that I'm in still the. Nice to see you.
And you.
And then we'll just do another one just to get you sorted out. Just while we're waiting for Rosie just to settle, we'll go slightly from side to side. You look very well. I know you've been ill.
I'm better than I was.
Yes, you were.
Put it that way. I'm glad I look all right.
I think Rosie's had a...
It's been a bit,
Yes.
Anyway.
Just one of those things, that's all you can say really.
Right.
And then just join in when you're ready. Going from side to side. And then just come to the centre. Lift and roll the shoulders, and we'll just do that again. Breathing in, turn the head to the left. Breathing out, turn the head to the right. Come to the centre. And then circle the hands up. Reverse. Palms up. Slightly to one side. Come to the centre. And slightly to the other side. And come to the centre. Just subtly turn. Come to the centre and subtly turn. And then come to the centre. And then lower the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders and clasp behind. Knuckles to the ground. Looking forwards. And then just lifting the hands behind you. Slightly go the hands to the left. Come to the centre. And then the hands slightly to the right, and come to the centre. And then just release, lift and roll the shoulders. And then bring the hands to the centre, circle, hands up, palms together, come through the centre, hands to the shins, breathing in, lengthen the back. Breathing out, soften the knees and soften, bend forward. Breathing in, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, soften the knees, press the feet down, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Hands up, stretch the fingers, thumbs back towards you, little fingers away, and then lower the hands. Inhale and exhale, palms together. Circling the hands up, stretching up. Palms together, come through the center, soften the knees, bend the elbows, hands onto the shins, breathing in, lengthening the back, soften the knees, soften the elbows, come forward. Breathing in, hands on the shins, lengthen, half lift, and stay here as you breathe out. And then soften the knees, press the feet down as you breathe in and roll up. And then hands up. Stretch your fingers and then lower the hands. And then once more, hands together. Circle up, stretch up, palms together. Come through the center. Palms on the shins. Half lift, tummy in. Breathe out, soften the knees and bend the elbows. Breathe in, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And then breathing in, roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Hands up, stretch the fingers and lower the hands. We're going to come down to a seated position. Before we do, just checking in with you. Do you want a window open? Do you want a door open? Do you want the heating on, or are you fine as you are?
I'm okay, I'm fine. Thank you.
Come to a seated position. And come to cross-legged if you can make it. If you can't, then don't worry, just have your legs out. And then hands somewhere here, so it's a spinal wave. So cat-cow basically. Breathing in, lengthening the spine. Breathing out, rounding chin to chest. And in a fluid movement, breathing in, sitting up, and breathing out, rounding chin to chest. And carry on doing this movement a few times to your own breath pattern. And next time you round forward, just take a couple of breaths rounded forward. And then just very gently sit up. So the next one's a forward bend. So I'm quite interested in your thoughts here. I find a forward bend with my legs crossed quite tricky. I won't go into why, a lot of people do. So for me, I prefer a forward bend with my legs out. But if you would like to do a forward bend, coming forward like that, then do. But for me, just for this one, I quite like to have my feet out. Just take the flesh out from under the bottom. And you can raise your arms up. Have a sense that you're not craning your head forward. And then just bring your hands to your shins and slide the hands down. You can soften your elbows, and really here the idea is to lengthen from the base of the spine to the top of the head and then relax forward. So you're not really looking to try too hard. The 2 points would be to have a sense of that you are lengthening along the spine and then relaxing. So you will be curved, but a gentle curve. And that the back of the neck is long. And then very gently slide the hands up. So coming to Natalie, hands out, hug, one on top of the other, and then just coming forward and just gently rock from side to side. This opens up the upper thoracic area, chin to chest. And then sitting up, remember which arm's on top to open out, just a gentle opening, and then hug, coming forward, and then just very gently hug from side to side. And then very gently coming up. So the next exercise, I'm going to again give you a choice. The actual exercise I find difficult. It's lifting and rolling the shoulders, clasping the hands behind and aiming the knuckles to the ground, and just lifting the hands away. Now standing up, I find that quite easy. Sitting down, it's not quite so interesting, or it's not, for me it's more difficult. So a variation on that would be just to place your hands behind you. Classically the fingers would be forward, but in a gentle clasp you can have the hands however you want, and just lift your chest and open your chest. Just almost feel the stretch across the top here. And that does the same thing. And your chin can either be parallel to the ground or subtly a millimetre or two up, not very much. And just take a couple of breaths here. And this also opens you out at this point here under the collarbones in the same way. And then very gently come to sitting upright. So you can choose to have your legs out still or legs crossed. What we're going to be doing is to come over to the side. So whether you want your legs out or whether you want them crossed is up to you. I'm going to come back to having my legs crossed. So just touch your fingers to either side of you. Slide your left fingers to the left. Bend the right elbow and come over to the left. Chin slightly tucks in, and you can just come in and out. If now with the elbow bent that you feel that you've got a lot of space, you can extend the right arm. So another teaching point would be to reconnect your right sitting bone onto the ground because you have lifted it off. And then tummy in as you press your left hand into the ground. Let your left fingers trace back towards your hip, and then lower your right hand. Lift and roll your shoulders. And then slide the right fingers out to the right. Raise the left elbow, tummy slightly in, and come over to the right. You can come in and out as a dynamic movement, or you can, if you've got space, stretch your left hand to the right, reconnect your left bottom perhaps to the ground, tummy in as you press your right fingers down, and then coming up, relax, back down again. Bring the hands, clasp them in front, almost as if you're holding a big ball, so this would be very good for you, Natalie. And just literally chin to chest, hands out. enough that you feel the stretch across the top of the back. Just a couple of breaths in and out. And then coming up, just relax the hands back down. So this I find really difficult to explain. So I'm going to turn my back to you, and I'm taking my left hand behind me and I'm taking my right hand behind me and palms together. And then turning to look over the right shoulder. So I hope that makes sense. Right hand behind, palms together, and turn to look over the right shoulder. But again, you might not want to really look over your right shoulder and nod towards the right. The aim is to sit up straight. How are you doing?
I'm leaning. I'm leaning back.
So then, yes, left hand across the back, palms together. That's difficult in itself. And look over the left shoulder, but towards the left. This is a very Tibetan movement. And then just release. Lift and roll the shoulders backwards. It's quite surprising how movement can be lost and you don't realise it's happening. And then something like that just
Makes you realise you're stiff as a board.
makes you kind of realise. So much more gentle one. Hold your knees, sitting up. And then just left hand to the right knee, right hand behind, fingers either lightly connecting to the ground or pressing your hand down if you're long, to just turn towards the right shoulder. And then coming back through the centre, just hold the knees and do a nod forward, lengthening along the back, and you'll feel this in the outer hips. Come to upright, and then right hand to the left knee, left hand behind, lengthen the body, and just slightly turn to the left. And then coming back to the centre. And this time just subtly walk the fingers a little bit in front of you, keeping the back lengthened before you come over and perhaps not going very far. It's just a nod to rebalance the spine. And coming back up. Before we come to lying, I wanted to do another movement. It's perfect hip health, one of the movements, but it also comes within a somatic movement. So legs in a double V, that can be challenging in itself. So if that's not great, then say so. And then just use your hand, one hand resting on the ground, the other hand on your thigh, inner thigh, and turn the head away from the direction of the knees. And again, that's just an awareness of perhaps stiffness. You don't have to strain too much with your turning, just a nod to the direction. This hip movement is one of the 5 perfect hip movements of perfect hip health. And then just very gently raise the hand that's on the thigh upwards, so you're looking upwards to your thumb. And then lowering the hands. Hands either side of you to support you, lean back, bring your legs up, and then we're coming over to the other side. If you were ever tempted to watch television at home like this, I can't imagine that you would do, but if you were, you could have a support under that thigh, that bottom. So then, from there, I'm just trying to think, turn, just you're going over, I'm not explaining it, does this make sense? So your knees are to the right or left?
Right, they're to the right.
The right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, no, it's just Rosie's knees are to the right.
I'm probably doing it wrong.
No. So for your knees to be the
I wasn't
right.
too sure about this leg movement actually. The V, you said a V shape.
Yes, it's like a two V's. Two V's, two
Oh yeah,
V's.
okay, yeah.
So you're just trying to sort of work out. So you're just turning away from the direction of the knees.
Knees, yeah.
And I've got my legs. So it's turning away from the direction of the knees. Does that make sense?
Yeah. My legs are right, I'm turning left. Isn't it?
Yes. Does that make sense? And then raise your left hand and look up to your left thumb if you've got your knees, depending on where you've got your knees. And then just very, very gently lower the hand. We're going to come to lying before we come up to standing. So in lying, if you want a blanket under your knees to support them, then please do. I'm just looking at Annie there. Or a blanket here. It's rest, but it's rest with some movement. So just very gently circle the ankles in one direction. And then circle the ankles in the other direction. And just extend the toes and relax them. Just relax the legs now, let them drop out to the side. And just gently turn the head from side to side. And coming back to the centre, leave the elbows where they are on the ground, but just lift the hands upwards towards the ceiling and just circle the wrists in one direction. And then circle the wrists in the other direction. And just open out the fingers and relax them. And open out the fingers and relax them. And then bend one knee and then bend the other knee so that both knees are up to the ceiling and both feet are hip width apart. Maybe a little bit wider. The hands can be palms down on the floor or resting on the abdomen. And just very gently let both knees sway in the same direction from side to side. And the hips can lift off the ground. So that point on the bottom where it feels very satisfying, and if you used your thumbs, there's a little dip there, is an acupressure point called GB30, which is a gallbladder meridian. And it's a major acupressure point, and you're accessing it by going from side to side like this. You could have a soft tennis ball, although be warned that they tend to run away from you, but are a soft, squishy ball, and that will get into that point. Gallbladder has many functions, but detoxifying and processing food is obviously one of them, so it has a slight detox function as well. And then just very gently, we are going to be coming up to standing before we come to lying, but just before we do, Hug both knees into the chest and very gently rock from side to side. And then very gently, when you come to the centre next, hug the knees into the chest. And still holding the knees, let them drift away from you to sort of arm's length. And just a few times in your own breath pattern, hugging the knees into the chest. And then letting them drift away to arm's length. And again, a few times in your own breath pattern, you're very lightly connecting or massage to your lumbar vertebra, so connecting the lower spine to the earth, and emphasizing something called the apana energy. It's a foundational of the 5 energies in traditional yoga, traditional Eastern yogic philosophy, and in Ayurveda. And then very gently come to the centre. And we're going to be coming to standings, but via rolling. So classically, you would roll to the right, away from your heart. Take your time to then come up via kneeling or sitting. It's important to really take your time because the blood needs to get to the head, and then you can come to kneeling and tuck the toes, rolling up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And then rolling up. Lift and roll the shoulders. And feet hip width apart, hands on the waist. Just lift your toes and then place the toes down again so that you're reconnecting to the earth. And be aware, I certainly can't talk, but that your feet are really connecting evenly. Which parts of you go in, which parts go out. And then very gently breathing in, raising the arms to about, I'm not very good at maths, to a nice kind of V, and then breathing out. Lower the hands to the waist. And then very gently raising the arms up, and then lowering the arms back down to the waist. And when you lower the arms to the waist, feel that you're standing tall, lifting from the chest. And then raising the arms up, stretching the fingers, just lowering the shoulders, you're not going too far, and then lowering the hands. If you want to rest them on the waist, do. If you want to just release, let them relax, that's fine too. And last time, raising up and breathing out, lowering down. And then just lifting and rolling the shoulders. And now stepping forward with the left foot. The right foot is a 45-degree angle. You step forward with the left foot, hands on the waist. If you're feeling that your balance is out, then you can bring your left foot more towards the edge of the mat. And softening the front left knee, raising your hands up. And breathing out, lowering the hands and straightening the knee, or it's optional. But then again, softening the knee as you stretch up and breathing out, lowering the hands. Again, circling the hands up. If that's too strong on the hands, then you can circle up less. So if you find that it's too much, you can do just a half circle, and that might get into the shoulders better. Again, you just experiment to what suits you. And then just lift and roll the shoulders and step the left foot back. And just take some adjustments while you step the right foot forward and the left foot is out at about 45 degrees. And again, if you want greater balance, you can always bring your right foot out more towards the edge of the mat. And then just very gently, hands on the waist, lifting the chest. So this is anti-depressing, it's uplifting if you lift your chest. And it gives space for the abdominal organs. And then softening the right knee, raising your hands where it suits you. It might be halfway, it might be right up. And then breathing out, lower the hands. And breathing in, soften the front leg, stretching up to where it suits you. And breathing out, lower the arms. And again, softening the front knee, circling to where it suits you. And breathing out, lower the arms. And then just lift and roll the shoulders and step back. So this one is a modification. So softening the knees and then coming down. I would suggest having your hands on your shins. And then breathing in, slide your hands up as you stand up and have hands on the waist. Breathing out, soften the knees, move your feet if you need to, slide your hands down to the shins. Breathing in, soften the knees and slide your hands up to the waist. Breathing out, sliding down. As you press your hands into the shins, you might feel that you can lengthen your back, but it's just gentle, your own movement. Slide the hands up. And breathing out, slide the hands down to the shins. Breathing to slide up. And last time, sliding the hands down. And sliding up. So hands down. The next one, I need some feedback from you. I know Sue doesn't like down dog, but Sue's not here. So down dog, if you're not into down dog, then we can do a softer kneeling version. So has anybody got an aversion? You might not like down dog very much.
I've done it, but probably not today.
Okay. So that makes it. That makes
do down dog. I'd like to do
you don't like down dog.
I'll give
Okay.
it a go. I don't know if I can do it.
So we'll combine all three. My mind just had to compute what I was going to be doing there. So come to kneeling anyway. Right. So we will do it all. So I've just got to work out in my mind how I want to do this. So from kneeling, come to the bottom towards the heels, elbows on the ground, so that your bottom's up in the air. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then come to child's pose, so that your bottom slightly moves back, and you come up to tabletop. So you're rounding, elbows to the ground, bottom sort of slightly up, and then bottom to the heels as you come back to tabletop. Don't worry, I'll include downward dog. So however you want to round the back bottom towards the heels, elbows to the ground in a sort of child, and then lift your elbows and come back to tabletop. So if we've got that pattern, as you round down, child, carry on that pattern. But for those who want to do downward dog, when you come to tabletop, tuck the toes and come into downward dog. So Rosie, you carry on with that pattern.
It's okay. I do it slowly.
Okay, so we walk the dog by bending one knee and then bending the other knee. Oh dear. And then both knees back down to the ground. That was very heartfelt. Bottom towards the heels, so stretching out from your child. Rounding the back. Elbows to the ground, bottom up. And then coming to tabletop. Rounding the back, bottom to the heels. Elbows to the ground. Coming back as you dip through to tabletop. Rounding the back. Bottom towards the heels, elbows to the ground, and then bottom up as you come through. You can choose your own variation, almost doing a circle. And then again, as we come back to tabletop, for anybody who wants to do dog, tuck the toes. Dog is not mandatory. And come to your downward dog. Feet wide apart if that's easier, walking the dog by bending one knee and then bending the other knee. Come down to the floor, Annie. Come down to kneeling. And then everybody come down to kneeling.
It's quite difficult doing the kneeling.
Okay, and then we're going to come off kneeling then. And let's come to lying on the floor in Sphinx. Is that easier? So lying on the tummy on the floor, elbows resting on the elbows, and just looking at the floor. Tuck the toes underneath, lift the heels up to the ceiling, lift the heels away from you, and then just release the legs to the ground and wobble your bottom from side to side. So Sphinx is a back bend actually. Press your elbows into the ground and almost pull your tummy, your bottom slightly forward a millimetre and then relax and release. And then elbows out to the side, rest your hands either on the backs of your hands or on the fist, make fists. Knees slightly apart, soles of the feet to the ceiling, and just slightly windscreen wiper from side to side. Circle the ankles in one direction. And then very gently circle the ankles in the other direction. Release the feet down to the ground. Bring the knees slightly together. We're going to come onto our backs. So you can either do it classically by pressing the hands down, coming to kneeling, or you can roll to one side, bend your knees in and then come up. It really doesn't matter. And then come to lying knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Palms down this time, so palms down alongside you, knees up to the ceiling and feet on the floor. And this is starting with a very gentle pelvic tilt, flattening the back to the ground as if you're lifting your bottom and then releasing so there's a little gap under the lower back. And then again, flattening the back as if you're going to lift the bottom and then just releasing. And once more, flattening the back as if you're going to lift the bottom and then just releasing. This time, press your feet into the ground, lift your bottom, and then gently bend the elbows, lift the bent elbows up above you. Your chin slightly goes into your chest. You can stretch your hands out or not behind you, lifting up as little or as much as you would like, and then start to breathe out and start to lower the bottom back down to the ground. The hands will follow. And then hands back down, palms down alongside you, and just recover. Next time, press the feet into the ground, lift the bottom up a little bit, roll the elbows up above you, chin to chest. You can lift up as little or as much as you would like. And then breathing out, lower the bottom back down to the ground. The arms will follow. And then hug one knee and then the other knee into the chest. And then both soles of the feet to the ceiling in a soft V, palms and hands together. And just look at your thumbs. You'll feel the abdominal muscles engage here. Hug the knees back into the chest. And then very gently let the feet come to the floor. And one more time, pressing the feet down, palms down to support you as you lift your bottom, bend at the elbows, hands above you. Whether you stretch the mouth is up to you, chin to chest. And as you start to breathe out, lower the bottom and back down to the ground. The arms will follow. Hug one knee and then the other knee into the chest. Both soles of the feet to the ceiling. Your knees can be soft, palms together, and look at your thumbs. And then hugging the knees into the chest. Just gently rock from side to side. And if you want to explore the lower lymphatic system here, slide the hands down the shins so that you're holding just above the ankles. And the knees will open, the big toes will be vaguely closer to one another, and you're in a modified supine Baddha Konasana, but you'll feel the inner groin opening. So this is brilliant for the lower lymphatic system, and we're all ladies here, but particularly good for husbands as well. And you can also do this movement by releasing the feet, so just slide, support your legs, place the feet on the ground, and you can open your knees out to the side so that it is actually a supine Baddha Konasana. That's very strong on the inner groin, and that can not be very comfortable after a while, so you can have a lot of support under the thighs in the form of blankets and bolsters to bring the legs slightly together. But just very gently lift your bottom by pressing down on your feet and move it slightly to the right. And then, having said that, cross one leg. So I'm going to cross my right leg over my left and just let the feet subtly drop over to the right. My left hip will lift off the ground. And then press the left foot into the ground. And let both legs subtly go to the left. Palms down alongside you. It's quite a strong rotation. You can always have support under the legs. Come back to the centre. Uncross the legs. Press the feet down and move the hips to the left. Cross the left leg over the right. And let the legs drop to the left. The right hip will lift. And then tummy in to support your knees back to the centre, and just very gently let both knees drop over to the right. You would normally stay in this for quite some time, but it is quite a strong rotation, so I'm just doing a nod to this. Tummy in to bring your knees back to the centre. Uncross your legs. And then let both knees drop to the right. Your left hip will lift up. That might be softer. You can look up to the ceiling or slightly to the left. If you want to involve your hands, you can either place your hands on the abdomen or open your hands out like a T. That's really strong under the arms, so you might not be quite so comfortable opening your hands out, but on the other hand, it does open up under the upper lymphatic system. Tummy in, knees back up to the centre, and then let the knees drift over to the left. The right hip will lift. Feel that you can adjust your hands. If a T is too much, then drop them down to an A, or just keep your hands on the waist or keep your hands on your tummy. Doesn't have to be a strong lift. And then tummy in, knees back up to the centre, hug both knees into the chest. And the knees move as one, so just make tiny circles with both knees in the same direction. And you're massaging across the lower back, really down at the base of the spine. And then just very gently rotate in the other direction. Just take an in and out breath. You might like to hug the knees into the chest and then release them a couple of times. And then very gently, we're going to roll to the side to come up to a seated position, but please feel that you can take your time. And just very gently using your thumb, place the thumb lightly on the right nostril. If you're a bit bumped up, don't press down very hard. So just start by a few breaths in and out, only through the left nostril. This is just a taster. And then just release the left nostril. Just have a couple of breaths through both nostrils and just notice that your awareness of the breath might have altered slightly. And then very gently just take your ring finger. I'm not being very yogic about this, just a very subtle block of the left nostril and breathing only through the right nostril and out through the right nostril. This is just a nod. And then when you release the right hand down to your knees, just breathe through both nostrils and just notice that your breath might have altered slightly. And if you are someone who suffers from sleep issues, breathing only through the left nostril calms the system down. So for sleep, it's very good. And if you don't want to be bothered to breathe only through your left nostril and out through your left nostril, so in other words, the breath comes in and out, you block your right, you only breathe in and out through your left. If you can't be bothered to do that, if you turn onto your right side so that the left nostril is upwards, then that does it for you.
Why is it the left nostril?
Because the left side is the cooling side of the body, it is the yin side, and if you think about it, the right side is the more sun side because you've got the anger, the emotion to connect to the liver and the gallbladder on that side,
Right.
on the right. So if ever you want to wake yourself up, you breathe through the right side.
Mm-hmm.
So then to breathe through the right side, you would lie on your left side to have the right side exposed. If you want to go to sleep and you can't be bothered to sit up in bed and breathe in and out through the left,
Keep me awake.
keep you awake, then rolling onto your right side will expose the left nostril,
Okay.
and that will be more calming. The other thing that will be calming, you naturally would do that, is not having the chin up but subtly down. You can have lavender and lavender mist and all your warm baths and your Epsom salts and your whatever you want to do. And there's a whole sleep routine of not being wound up before you go to bed, but that's easier said than done. So just bringing the hands to the chest. This is it's a moving meditation. Breathing in, just softly your hands out. Breathing out, hands back to wherever they come. They can be one on top of the other, chin to the chest. Breathing in, softly open your hands. Breathing out, chin to chest. So breathing in, chin out, hands out. Breathing out, chin to chest. Breathing in and breathing out. And as you've got your hands here, have a thought for the day, your sankalpa, for yourself or for somebody else. A simple thought. And then having thought that a couple of times, let it go. The intention for the day has been set. And then just dropping the hands to the thighs to be comfortable. I'm going to do